This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, Aaron asks us about procrastinativity.
Woo! Hi, I'm a baboon. I'm like a man, just less advanced, and my anus is huge. This is what a Joey sounds like.
When I was young, I never needed baboon. You totally lost me, Joey. I was so ready for this one. I was going to Celine Dion it, but this is what an Aaron sounds like.
And this is what an executive producer and National Geographic photographer, Jess Vander, sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess.
Snap, snap.
Very.
Emerson is that initial part came from Lil Dicky's Earth Day fundraising song that he did with like a bunch of celebrities that Emerson discovered and can tell Google to play for her. And it's just full of swears and, like crass blue humor. And she was singing it walking up to her second day of kindergarten. And we got about like 100 feet away. And I was like, okay, you can't sing that anymore. Remember, we don't say those words inside. And, it's just like, it's full of things like, I'm a fat fucking pig, I'm a common fungus. And it's just like a cartoon video. And I'm like, remember? And she's like, yes, we don't say fucking at school. And I'm like, correct. Great.
God, I love that kid.
You're like, you're allowed to say it, you just can't say it in a way that makes me look like I'm a bad
Yes,
I just told her, I was like, you'll get in trouble. Like, I'm warning you now. Like, you'll get in trouble. Like, you're going to hear me say it. You can choose whatever. But, like, you say it at school. You say it in a restaurant. She said at the bookstore the other day that she's like, I don't want a book with a fucking octopus on it. And some lady just like, I watched the lady's face go, like turn sideways and look at her and then laugh and go back. And I was like, okay, new teaching moment. The store is a public space.
Can't do it there. Can't do it. Can't do it at the store.
That was housekeeping. That was how Joey is doing his housekeeping.
I love it. Rate, review, subscribe, and don't fucking fuck. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Octopus books.
We're getting an E on this episode.
Yes, yes. Oh,
yeah.
I've wanted one since 1989. Thank you, Tipagore. Aaron,
what do you got for us?
Yeah. So, I yesterday afternoon, I went through my calendar, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but like I literally went.
I also have a calendar.
Whoa! Yes. All right, I've got compadres in this, but I went down this like kind of mini rabbit hole where it was like, gee willikers, I feel like it's been a lot lately. Let me just go back in time. Has it been a lot? Like, let me look at the empirical data of my calendar to see if that's true. And I went back and I was like, oh, yes, I have not started my day later than 8 o'clock. I've started my day later than 8 o'clock 3 times in 5 months. And I was like, oh, okay. That for me personally, that is not a great, that's not good. That's maybe a sign that like, oh, there's a reason why I'm a little bit overwhelmed. But anyway, the afternoon presses on and I'm just like, oh my God, I have this thing that I have to do. I've got to write this document. It's going to take brain power. And I can't. And like a procrastination like moment really kicked in. And I was like, I got to procrastinate. And then I just started doing things really productive that were not the thing I should be doing. I was like, oh yeah, I need to go outside and cover the grill. I've been meaning to just do that. Oh, I need to build the whole case for all of the outdoor furniture covers. You know what? Let me just do that. Let me just like do that. It's been sitting there in the door frame this whole time. Let me just do that. Oh wait, I haven't cleaned the dishes. There's like 3 dishes in the sink. Let me just make sure that those are clean. Oh, you know what? If I clean the dishes, I should clean the top of the stove. I should just make sure that that's nice. And it was by that fourth task where I was like, I don't think this is how most people procrastinate. I think that most people procrastinate by just like watching TV or like just laying on the floor and staring at the ceiling for a while and worrying about other things, you know, like that.
Like a healthy person.
Right. And so I just thought about it and I was like, so this is like productivity and procrastination. Portmanteau, I'm experiencing procrastinativity. This like very heightened state of getting shit done when I'm not getting the thing done that I should maybe be getting done. And I Googled it, like not that creative. Other people have said it, you know, I'm not the first person to use words, but
I'm not the first person to ever have anxiety.
Yeah, and that you're getting at the question that I have for you today, which is, in what ways is procrastinativity useful or not?
I mean, it sounds like it's very useful, at least for you. I mean, like, as you're talking about it, it sounds like you had a lovely little afternoon. Like, you got outside, you got things done. Your like guilt was assuaged about that box sitting in the doorway. Like, net sounds good. I'm sure the document was eventually created. Like,
It was.
So feels pretty good. I mean, like my version of procrastination, I think is probably just it is like different and makes me wonder if like everyone has like if you have like a procrastination style, like whether there's like a set, like you're one of 4 types of procrastinators or like I don't Jess
Wait,
doesn't seem like a procrastinator. So I'm like, do you have one, Jess?
Before Jess responds to this malicious attack on her character, no. Joey? What's your style then? You mentioned that you have a style. What is your style of procrastination?
I mean, I think I do tend to, like, at least in the context of work, probably more than personal life, do sort of the procrastinativity thing of like I'm not there, but I tend to have a little bit more of like, what is it called? Like the Eisenhower grid or something like that?
Eisenhower matrix. Yeah.
I think I tend to have more of that, like make a set of priorities. And I also know that I'm more effective when there's urgency. So I'm like, what's the most urgent? I'll do that thing because I'll feel the urgency. And so it just tends to be like following the urgency. As opposed, like, there's very little that I'm getting done before it needs to get done. Like, that's just reality, you know?
Procrastinurgency. I see. Okay. I'm writing them all down. This is going to be a thing.
Urgination. That sounds
urgination.
like a disease.
Yes.
I'm leaking.
Ew,
I mean, that's exactly. So, but now to go back to that full frontal assault, Jess, how do you relate to this concept of procrastination?
Wow.
She doesn't procrastinate.
This is not true, though. I think what, Aaron, you're making me realize is like, I think there may be actually 3 states, because I do think I lean on the third one more than I should. The first state you mentioned, which is procrastinativity, of like, you, in my head, I think of it almost like you're stealing yourself for the thing that you just like, you're not ready to face it. So you're going to take on the mini bosses before you take on the big boss. You're like, it's not time. I'll get other things done. I'll you know,
gotta get some XP.
I'll psych myself up.
Yes,
exactly. I'm getting the XP. I'm getting momentum. And then when I've hit my stride and I'm feeling, you know, I've got all my power ups or whatever, I'm like, all right, let's do this. The second kind is the one that you're like, is this the default, where people are sort of avoidant of the thing by it's, I guess the procrastinativity is avoidance too, but this is sort of like a downward spiral avoidance, where it's like, I'm going to do something and not think about it, but it will still be in the back of my mind, and I'll feel bad about myself as I'm doing it. And then afterwards I'll feel worse because I'm like, wow, I'm even further away than where I started. And that's a very dangerous place. And is also, I think, very common. And I absolutely, I understand and have for sure partaken in this strategy. But the third, which I think I do too often, is what I think is the brute force procrastination method, which is where I know I don't have any new inspiration. I don't have another idea. And for some reason, I'm spending another 3 hours trying the same way. You know, it's like the Einstein, or, you know, like why you keep trying with it and expecting a different result. Like, but I absolutely do that, maybe out of frustration at like why I can't crack it. So I'm like, if I just like shake the hell out of it a little bit harder, like maybe I'll get there. And it's actually only when you have the sort of breath that is the procrastinativity of like, all right, fine, I have to go for a walk, or I have to eat dinner, I just have to do something else, that suddenly you're like, oh, actually I have a good idea.
The first one is like, the way that you spoke about procrastinativity is definitely the same thing that Aaron is talking about, but I think it's a healthier way to talk about it, Aaron.
Yes.
But it's also I do think I do that where I'm like, I create space for slow thinking, where I'll check in. I keep checking back in with a task, and I'm like, nah, not ready. It's not cooked. It's not like I haven't background processed this enough to like know what I want to do. So then I just move on, and then and the urgency builds, and the urgency sort of like gets you to come back to the task more, but I'll still wait and be like, I don't have it figured out yet. Like, and so the slow thinking part of it, like while you were doing the furniture building and stuff like that, like you may have been like still thinking about this document in that time, but it was a healthier way than to what Jess was saying of just staring at like a blank page or something, right? You know?
This is very interesting. And this is why when you said the thing about anxiety, I thought it was really interesting because like, one, I think that
I have that.
Yeah, I have that in so many ways. You are so right. And I think that with it, it can dull your background processing capability because it pulls the background thoughts into the foreground. And then like background thoughts that otherwise could maybe be receded or recessive are competing with the things that are more dominant, like task orientation or like immediate, engagement. And so the idea of making space for slow thinking, I find very quaint, kind of like a Victorian village. Like, I don't think that I can go to that place. I don't have a time travel equipment to get there. But the thing that I do, and maybe this is like to tease these two like valences of procrastinativity apart, is that like I can't. It's almost like it's more about like the amount of gas that I have in the tank. It's less so about like building up or stealing myself for being able to take on the task. And it's like the front loaded tank is now empty. So like I could switch over to that thing, but it's just going to take 3 times as long. It's not going to be as good because there's not enough fuel. And the only way for me to refuel is to, and this is also the plight of knowledge work, right? Is like to go do something that requires less frontal lobe capacity. And that's why it kind of makes sense that it's like build something, like make a thing away
get the
from
gumption.
a screen. You got to get the gumption. I like it.
What?
That's why I repeated it back. And then I'm like, I don't get it in this context, but I like it.
Like you need the gumption to like
saying.
do the thing. Didn't we talk about, was it Maya Angelou that talked about the little brain and the big brain? That she would lock herself in like a hotel when she was trying to like write a book. I think it was Maya Angelou,
Obama
When she
did
was
the
trying to
same
write a
thing.
book?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Obama used to like, he's famous for every book he wrote. He would like get into the office and disappear from the family for 3 months. And Michelle was
Yeah.
like, yep, he's in book mode. That's what he does.
But she would be like, I need the big brain to write my book, but I need to keep my brain going. And so the little brain was her doing word puzzles, like crossword puzzles or like little word puzzles. And I think like what we're talking about, like you doing the yard furniture or whatever is like little brain. Like it was a thing to keep you moving. You didn't know how to construct whatever you're doing, but it's not requiring a lot of you. So you can sort of fill the tank, but like your brain is not like completely turned off because jumpstart the engine again is a whole lot harder than, being a perpetual motion machine.
And I guess I wonder too if like, within that there's some optimism, there's some intention to it. And in all the ways that we've been talking about it, even though there's an element of like, I'm not going to do that right now. It's not, with the exception of procrastavoidance, which again, I'm still trying to make them all portmanteaus. With the exception of procrastavoidance, all of them have the intention of doing the thing. Like all of them, like, and in the example that I keep on bringing up, like literally after I got through all that stuff, I was like, okay, I can go back and I can write this thing. And I could, and I knocked it out in a reasonable amount of time, and like it was of good quality. But I think that like there is that other side of it, which is what I don't necessarily identify with, which is like actually avoiding the thing, of like dreading it and worrying about it. Like I absolutely am a turn into the wind and just do it. I want to do the hardest thing first because that's when I have the most fuel. Like, if it is the most difficult, the most time-consuming, the most energy-depleting, I want to do it when I've got the full tank so I don't run out halfway through. But, like, I know that there are people who experience that, like, I just don't wanna, and I really don't wanna.
Yes, and this is, I think, we've been talking a lot about what I guess I would call like the more optimistic view of procrastination, which is like, look, you can have all this self-awareness and it's all like in service of your filling your tank or lateral thinking or, just like slow thinking, all that type of stuff. But lest we not forget that sloth is a deadly sin. And and there's something in this that I wonder, like, do we all secretly hate this about ourselves, or not so secretly? We not so secretly hate this thing about ourselves that sometimes we're not immediately ready to go and like have all the thoughts. Like, how do we grapple with this like culturally and societally established construct that like, if you're not getting it done right now, you're lazy.
Yeah. And you're worthless. Like, literally, that is the thing.
And you're dumb and you can't read good.
No, but like, I love that you brought that up because there's the personal side of it and there's the societal and cultural side of it. And like the nature of capitalism is to ensure that people are products. And in knowledge work, your brain and your capacity to produce is your product. And so there is in addition to like a higher order, you must be productive vibe in America in particular. Like that's very rooted in our culture, not all cultures. In addition to like, the Protestant work ethic that also is a big part of the country, there's a moral element to it that's been baked into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying like, it's not just that you are like, man, I can't get this done. I wish I could. There is still a thread of like, you are a bad person if you can't produce, and your mind is your tool. And so what do you do?
So you're there cleaning the stove, but you're secretly like, damn it, I can't. I'm just here cleaning this stove. Like, probably should be writing this thing. I'm not. Just putting the thing on the thing, cleaning the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Goody Jess, but you are a bad Protestant.
It always comes back to self-loathing.
Yeah, it always does.
It's just like always back there.
Yes.
The thing that frustrates me just in like the share, like because it's different, is that I feel like I have a reserve tank somewhere that I have no personal access to, that is like an externally derived reserve tank that someone else can get access to my reserve tank, but when I want to use my reserve tank, not enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like something shitty happens, something urgent happens, like someone really needs help, like reserve tank is there. When I need a thing where I'm like, I have to write this new business proposal and I just don't want to. Like, no, reserve tank inaccessible. If you were like, I really need to write this new business proposal and I don't want to, I'd be like, I'm here to help. I have all the energy in the world because I have a backup battery that I use just for other people. Like, you know.
I identify with that deeply.
Yeah.
Well, I know that we're about to put a button on it. But when you have the opportunity to say words silly, why don't you? That's the gift of living. It's amazing. I do think that like challenging those ideas of why am I so lazy, like the slothfulness, challenging the idea that like that productivity is a virtue, that the ability to produce is this highest order thing. I do think there's value in taking a look at that and questioning when it's serving you and when it's not. And then perhaps then when you're scrubbing your stove, you don't have a different voice that's saying, damn it, I really need to stop doing this and doing the big thing. And you can just say, finally, my home is cleaner. And you can enjoy the fact that maybe it's not procrastinativity, it's actually still productivity and you're still in the trap. And you need to like
You're great.
You need to just be. Allow yourself to just be.
Joey's wrap-up corner is you're great, Aaron.
Oh.
Jess, how about your wrap-up corner?
Yes.
Oh, I see. I see what you've done.
I didn't procrastinate. I certainly didn't procrastinate.
As inevitable as time is, we find ourselves burdened with tasks, responsibilities, etc. And we have several different ways of coping with them. Some of them may be aware of what we need and aware of, you know, not being in the right headspace. Sometimes that can be a really healthy thing where we give ourselves the grace and generosity to fight the mini bosses, make space for ourselves, even just watch something dumb because you need that right now. Sometimes it can be a little darker and we don't give ourselves that grace and we stare at the clock and we think, my God, what a worthless lump I am, and whatever Aaron said earlier, that was funny. It's a weird thing because at the end of the day, the clock ticks again, the deadline bears, and all of that is in our own heads. And it feels like there's something really freeing about that because our mindset is the only thing that distinguishes watching reality TV productively or not. And so I choose to live in a world where this brief pause for RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star 7 is a valuable use of my time. And I'll get it done at some point.
And now it's time for Werner Herzog's wrap-up corner. Time is inevitable, and
Werner, that's
it is
my wrap-up corner.
A slow march down the checkoff list into the abyss.
I am silent. I am stunned. Someone revive me. I'm laid out. I love it. I love it.
Critical Nonsense is a Werner Herzog production.
Brought to you by Externally Processing Out Loud in Public. Gee, this feels more awkward than therapy.
As always, we'd like to thank our executive producer and executive producer, Jess Vander.
You're welcome.
We'd also like to thank sound engineer and that blank word, Alex Gontel.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and program champion, Les Jacobs.
You're a champion. Zara Gilbert and Nora Mestridge, we want to thank you as well for not just being the production crew, but also for being essentially the pit crew for our version of RuPaul's Drag Race, which is Critical Nonsense. So thank you.
Yeah. And as always, thank you, Sari Ellen. Special thanks.
Work! Special thanks. Randomly the other day, I thought of Eric Repair's repair shop.
Yes! You should always think about
And
it.
I wanted to special thank
Bonjour.
Joey for right now doing the voice.
Please bring back Eric Repair. Eric Repair's repair shop.
Bonjour. Welcome to Eric Repair's repair shop, where we make crepes and fix your tires.
Sounds like you're the Michelin man choking on a croissant, and I love it. Because that's what Eric Repair's repair shop is here for. I want to thank The View for coming back from their summer break, even though Whoopi is recovering from COVID. Like, I am back in it. It feels good. I'm here for it. Sunny, don't stop. That's basically it. Yeah.
I would like to thank you for letting me know that The View still is on television.
Yo, I am so grateful in this thanking moment that I got to remind you of that because, Joy doesn't make a lot of sense. Joy just talks sometimes and you're like, what? Qua? But I also really quickly need to thank, I've got 3 of them. The Outdoors and Bug Spray, really good. Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
I'm with y'all now, and I am now gonna have to join a D&D campaign. Like, this is it. This is happening.
Aaron!
This is finally happening.
Aaron, I'm playing it too.
We have to do. We can do multiplayer together. We can figure it out. We can figure out the time zone thing and do it.
Okay.
We've got 3 games going on in our house right now, so it's a lot. And also Final Fantasy 16. That's my last special thanks. It's really hard to play that in Baldur's Gate at the same time, but man, Final Fantasy 16 is really great. It's a fun single player romp, and go do it and
What a romp.
find your
Thanks to
chocobo.
romps.
Yeah, thanks to romps. Not rompers. No, screw rompers. Romps, though?
Romp
I like a
hymns.
romp.
Thank you.
Rompim's all right. Rompim's all right.
Yeah.
Summer
Yeah.
2019.
I know you.
all
I know
over
you.
again.
I know you have at least one romp hymn.
I had it before it was cool. That's what I will say. Because it was not the Rompim brand.
Did you just passe aggressive me?
Wow. That's Joey. Joey wins the podcast today. Thank you. And good night.
All the points.
was
Excellent.
it.
Goodbye.
That was it. Oh, good day to you.
Love you. Mean it. Bye.
Bye.
Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the first thing that you're ever gonna need and the last thing you won't need. Do you have baked goods that need to be fixed back up? Do you have a patch for all those layers of pastries? Well, I've got some news for you.
Welcome to Eric Repair's Pastry Repairs. Bonjour, madame. I'm Eric Repair.
I had no idea you still retained such a strong French accent.
Oh,
I have a broken pastry.
oh my God. Your pie needs a patch.
Why is every dessert so fragile?
Zut alors, your macaron.
Someone called the creme brulee because someone cracked its top open.
Oh, don't worry, madame. I have my blowtorch.
Eric Repair, is it okay if I just took a bite out of it?
Oh, yes. With Pastry Repair, you can eat everything.
Don't let your royal icing get a rusty crown. Wee-haw!
Oh, thank you for coming to Eric Repair's Repair Shop, where we repair your broken pastries. Mon Dieu!